Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Minecraft. It is episode 104, and that is not going to be the last episode of this series. I am promising you right now. I don't know if I'll get to 4,951, or whatever, but, you know, that 104, not going to be the definitive end to the series. This series is going to go on, but I don't know if it's going to go on for 22 years, okay? Like, 22 years from now, I'm going to be, 46? Oh man, which is, I think, how old Tony Reali is. Yeah, actually. And why am I talking about that? Who is this Tony Reali? Who am I talking about? What am I referencing for the intro bit that I always do? That sometimes it's very uninspired, sometimes it's somewhat creative, you know. There is this TV show that ended as of yesterday. It was called Around the Horn, and I guess this is gonna be the first frickin' thing I talk about for this episode, because the conference finals, I mean, really, like, I think even though the Thunder had an extremely bad loss to the Wolves today that I just saw. They lost by probably 40 points. The Thunder had their worst game in all season basically to the Wolves, but they're just down. They're up 2-1 anyway, right? They won the first 2 games at home. The Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton frickin' choking out the Knicks, does the Reggie Miller thing in game 1. Amazing frickin' comeback. How do the Pacers keep on doing it? And then in game 2, it just seems that the Pacers' pace is just too much for the Knicks. But, you know, maybe the Knicks can win the series. I don't know. After just giving up the first 2 home games. I mean, I don't know. If we gave hope to the Celtics that frickin' they could win the series against the Knicks after losing the first 2 home games, maybe. And frickin' someone said Jason Tatum is the Kobe Bryant of Paul George's, and then frickin' in game 4 Tatum literally frickin' tore his Achilles. But whatever, man, whatever. I don't know. That's exactly what I want to talk about. You know, beyond the conference finals, not that interesting to talk about as of right now. Probably next episode when the finals are about to start. I could talk about those series as a whole if they're interesting. But I want to talk about Around the Horn. I want to talk about this show that has recently ended on ESPN, that has had a 22-year run. It started in 2002, I think. Yeah, 23-year run, yeah. And the fun fact about it is that Tony Reali was not the original host of Around the Horn. It was this guy called Max Kellerman, who I know from a certain place, you know. I know him as he is really good at talking about a certain sport that I enjoy, that was the first sport that I loved before basketball. But, you know, I don't know. I might have talked about it, a bit before, but yeah. Around the Horn was this show on ESPN that aired at 5 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, 5 p.m. Eastern. For 23 years. It started in 2002. It was hosted by Max Kellerman. And what is the format of Around the Horn, you might ask? Well, I mentioned this person before, but yeah, Kofi, someone who used to do videos for Secret Base, has a great video on Around the Horn and why it's amazing television. Yeah, and I guess I just want to give some thoughts, I guess. I want to slightly echo that, you know, and give a tiny bit of my perspective, even though that I just recently started watching it as of a year ago. Yeah, a year or 2 ago. Yeah. So Around the Horn is this show where there's a panel. There's a panel of sports journalists, you know, columnists or / radio personalities / radio people who are known for that, right? It started out with all journalists, but then as it went on, radio personalities such as Bomani Jones, you know, started to appear, right? So, yeah. The original concept was that there is the host, Max or Tony, later on, as Tony did it for 22 years, right? So Tony is the host, right? And then there would be 4 panelists of sports columnists, okay, who wrote for newspapers, most of the time. That was what the panel would be made up of. And then this panel are given a bunch of topics like, what did you think of the conference finals game against the Knicks and the Pacers, right? Did the Knicks choke it away? Is this the biggest choke in NBA history? Probably. Oh, man. How should Knicks fans feel about freaking their team now, after freaking, one of their fans just threw garbage at freaking a Pacers fan and freaking accosted Brian Windhorst as he was, going home to his hotel after the series ended against the Celtics. How should Knicks fans feel now? Stuff like that. They ask, the host asks 4 panelists the question, right? Like 4 panelists go around the horn answering a question related to a sports topic, and then they would, quote, debate, And the fun thing about this is that this is a sports debate show that was actually good. Not like good from like, I don't know. I think like there's a distinction that, I was thinking about as like I decided I wanted to talk about this, right? And it's echoing like Kofi's like video on Around the Horn. Is that I watched like 2 years ago. Is that Around the Horn is a good television show, man. Like, it's a good television show. I feel, and the distinction I want to make that I want to make clear is that shows like First Things First and First Take are entertaining, and like I feel like that's all they're good for, like they're entertaining. Sure, they can talk about things in an informative way sometimes, but that's way more like rare. Like Around the Horn is a genuinely great show that should be remembered. Like I realize that. Same with Pardon the Interruption. Like it's a great show that should have a legacy that already has a legacy. Of like seeing, if you search up Around the Horn like on Twitter or even Blue Sky, right, you see like stories, like countless people like just being inspired by the show, and like it inspired like a whole generation of kids who turned into adults who wanted to work in sports journalism or wanted to do something similar, who wanted to do that sort of thing, like talk about sports for a living, right? And like it's like watching it, just watch an episode of it, just search up the name of the show. There's like a channel I go to, but I don't know if I want to shout it out, because just for reasons, but I don't know. If you just watch it, you just see just the stark difference between, how the panelists on Around the Horn talk about the sports topics of the day versus how, Stephen A. Smith or other, big sports media people talk about, the sports topics of the day. It's just so freaking different. It's so, like, refreshing, right? And that's the thing. It's like, I remember back in 2020 when this like Minecraft series first started, I was getting into First Take, and I'm like, I was getting into First Take, one, due to just the nature of the pandemic, right? And I guess also it was a side effect of me getting more into basketball. It was like, like First Take was like ancillary content for me, I guess, of just like, you watch like a game and then you watch like the First Take episode, the First Take segment about the particular basketball game or story, like the morning after. But like, I don't know, like watching Around the Horn, it just makes it so clear just that Around the Horn and Pardon the Interruption is what sports debate, quote, debate, or television is what like sports television should aspire to be, like that's what it should be, right? Like it should strive to be like Around the Horn and not like First Take. It's like, please, like in like a sea of just countless things. I'm just mainly talking about the shows on FS1, right? I'm just mainly talking about those, but like I think like the First Take like ethos of just like wanting like a juicy hot take to talk about and prioritizing that first and foremost, rather than prioritizing like having like genuine perspectives that aren't like rooted in like trying to exaggerate things and trying to be like accentuate freaking like negativity, or trying to just elicit reactions on social media, right? It's like, it's just, I don't know. It's like, have I explained it enough? Like, why, like yeah, I feel like, again, like, watch an episode of it and like see the difference, right? And if I guess if anyone is watching and you come out of that like being like, I think First Take is funnier, I think First Take is more entertaining, I like that more, I'll watch it. Well, sure, I guess you can think that, but like, I don't know. It's just, yeah, it's really a thing of like, it's such, it's so refreshing, man. Like, I don't know, Around the Horn is special, man, and it really was special. I haven't even talked about the people who were on it at first. Yeah, like real journalists, yeah, like Woody Page for the Denver Post and Bill Plaschke for the Los Angeles Times, Bob Ryan from the Boston Globe, right? These are legendary like journalists in their fields, in their respective like markets, in their cities, right? And like for them, yeah, for those people, and like, yeah, like people like, was it Jay Adond or like Tim Cowlishaw, right, for Dallas, right, and Jay Adond for Chicago, right? It's like they represented their own cities, they represented their own markets, right? And like that was the special thing of it, that was the special nature of it, is that like there would be a topic on the Lakers. So naturally, the episode at the time, or like whatever, would have Bill Plaschke on it to talk about it. Like there's a story on the Denver Nuggets. Oh, you want to hear, Woody Page's perspective on it, right? It's like you want to hear Tim Cowlishaw, who has worked in Dallas for however many decades, right? You want to hear his perspective on the Luka trade and how it was stupid, but it kind of looks a little bit better in hindsight, since a certain team won the draft lottery. It's like that's the thing, right? You want to see these perspectives, right? Yeah, like it makes so much sense that this is a show where the people who are debating on sports are rooted in having a journalistic background, are rooted in having like somewhat of an insider like informational repository of knowledge to talk about, with which to talk about these topics, right? It just makes so much sense, right? And like, it's fine for people who don't have a journalistic background to talk about, basketball and stuff, right? And like, it's fine. It's fine for fans to have podcasts, right? Like I watch a few of those, yeah. Like Numbers on the Board, formerly True to Wire, is one of those, but it is one of those. It's like, but it's like we need those types of shows too. Like we need shows like Around the Horn and Pardon the Interruption. Like we need those shows, right? I don't know. It's like a thing of like, yeah, I think that's the point I want to get across, that like it's such a necessary thing, right? Like I don't like, as someone who has just recently started to care about this, like, yeah, like we shouldn't try to erase like journalistic voices, from sports conversations, right? Whether it be like on television or on the internet, or like we shouldn't try to erase that, right? And like with newspapers as a whole not being as strong as they once were, or with journalism as a whole not being as respected as it once was, it's just, yeah, it's saddening to see Around the Horn end, like and also, yeah, a thing I was thinking about was that like, if you watch like Around the Horn, like Woody Page is so like entertaining. Like, yeah, like he has this bit where he has a chalkboard behind him with like really funny messages, and like they change after the commercial break, right? Like there's 2 messages per episode on the chalkboard Woody Page has in his freaking box, on the show, and it's so fun. Like why is this not a thing, man? Like why is this general vibe of like show not a thing on ESPN anymore? Why is ESPN trying to erase, it's fine if like the show ends, right? It had a good run, like it went on for over 20 years, but like you're just seeing it with like, recently how ESPN, laid off Zach Lowe, right? And how, ESPN is leaning more towards having former athletes be the face of the network, right? In terms of like talking about sports. And I get it, right? This is the Draymond, the new media. It's like, look, like athletes should get to talk about the sport, you know, and their voices should be highlighted. It's like, yeah, look, I love Gil's Arena, you know? They can have informative discussions sometimes. Sometimes, you know, when Gil isn't being xenophobic, you know. You know, when Gil isn't being extremely xenophobic towards European players, yeah, there can be somewhat informative conversations, but obviously, right, it's like the number one goal of that is entertainment, right? Like Around the Horn was such a good show that balanced like being informative and being just, you know, journalistically based, right? And also being entertaining, right? It was so good at that, you know, that I don't know. It's weird, like me talking about it like this and having so much like passion and fervor behind loving the show when I only really started watching it like a year ago, like in 2024, I guess, regularly, you know? Yeah. Even now, like when I watch the episodes, like, yeah, I watch them on the internet. So I skip around, you know, to hear certain people's thoughts over others, you know? And they do this cool thing at the end of the show where there's like FaceTime where like the person who wins, because, yeah, I guess another element of the show that I haven't explained until now is that the 4 panelists on the 4 boxes, there's like a scoreboard underneath them, right? And it's and the whole joke about it was that like scoring, that like no one ever like tells you who wins or loses a sports debate. It's always just like on the internet, you know, of like, oh, look at Skip getting cooked here. It's like, but what if actually freaking the journalists were actually held accountable for what they said? Like if they got information about a topic wrong, the points would be deducted from their score. If they made a good point, points would be added to their score, right? Like it makes sense, but also it's really stupid to freaking score like debates like that. It's this dichotomy that's perfect, you know? The perfect freaking balance of like being like making so much sense but also like not taking itself too seriously, right? Like it's taking itself seriously in the fact that these are, you know, these are people with experience in the fields, right? Yeah, like Mina Kimes, you know, is like an NFL analyst, like, and if she gives a take about, you know, the NFL, right, you know it's coming from someone with knowledge, right? Like, yeah, like Bob Ryan has covered the Boston Celtics for freaking 5 decades. If he talks about the Celtics, you would think he knows a thing or two, right? He can reference history, right? He can reference that. Yeah, that's the whole thing. That's why it made so much sense, and that's why Around the Horn was such a great show, is that you got to hear these newspaper people originally when the show started, and later on radio people, and like, you know, people who are like online, you know, I guess more known online, I guess, like what, Harry Laus Jr. or something. Yeah, later panelist Courtney Cronin, right? Like you got to hear these people, but like no panelist on Around the Horn was like a former athlete, right? Yeah, there was Lil Wayne was a panelist, but like no one like on Around the Horn was like, you know, there was no panelist like Kendrick Perkins, you know, there was or even like JJ Redick, even though like JJ Redick is like what was when he did it was like good at providing analysis, right? And was like one of the more knowledgeable people, right? It's like, I don't know, there's just something about it that they're like, no, we are a show that is based in journalism. We care about writers. We care about the people who write about sports first and foremost. It's cool to have shows where the people who play them are whose voices you can hear from. It's cool. It's that new media thing is cool. There's been some good stuff, you know, All the Smoke and like whatever, Gil's Arena, you know, Draymond's podcast, who listens to that? You know, it's like, but like, yeah, but this is a show where we care about writers, you know, and that's the thing you get with PTI, like almost to like an annoying degree of like, Michael Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser being like, I covered these games. I covered this team back in the 70s or the 80s, right? But it's like they're not lying. They're not bullshitting you about that. It's like when Michael Wilbon's like, I've been to the NBA Finals. I've been to that specific game. You know, Tony Kornheiser talked about being at the Reggie Miller like choke game. You know, it's like he was there. That's the thing. Like James Murphy, like he was there. Like, but in like an actual like non-ironic way. Like he was there. Like that's the thing, and that's the whole thing with the Around the Horn panelists. They're in the cities talking about the topics that are relevant. You know, the Denver Post columnist, you know, would have something interesting to say about the Denver Broncos. Obviously, right? It's like, I don't know. And they used like, with like FaceTime, right? I guess explaining the format of it. At the end of each episode, the person like with the most points, right? The two panelists with the most points would go to this thing called a showdown, and then like there are like these topics. Whoever wins the showdown gets FaceTime for 30 seconds, and FaceTime is when you get 30 seconds to just talk about literally anything you want. It could be sports related. It doesn't have to be. But like, yeah, like those FaceTimes were used to talk about some really interesting things, you know? Yeah, that's the thing. I remember, one episode I watched, like Jen Leda was like one of the last new panelists to be brought on to the show, right? And she talked about Rick Pitino, who's the coach for St. John's, the college basketball team, right? And then, like, she talked about when Rick Pitino, like, made a joke saying that he wanted to kill himself in, like, a post-game press conference, and then Jen Leda was just, like, offering her perspective. She was somewhat, like, being, she didn't like the fact that Rick Pitino made a joke about that, you know, considering, you know, her relationship to, you know, suicide and stuff like that, right? It's like, I don't know, that's the thing. You don't have to agree with these people's FaceTimes, right? You know, most recently, there was this somewhat interesting thing that I noticed, but didn't talk about in a previous episode this year, where Mina Kimes, who talks about the NFL mostly, used her FaceTime to talk about the recent presidential administration removing Jackie Robinson's history of serving in the military from like the U.S. government like website or something, a U.S. government website. I don't know the exact specifics of it, but it was something to that effect, right? That Mina talked about. And then someone who played professional football on Twitter said something to the effect of sports shows should talk about sports and they shouldn't talk about politics. And then I just like just, you know, yeah. I don't think you need to know my reaction to that. But like, yeah, that's the thing with like fate. Yeah, it's such a cool freaking thing. Like when you think about it, like every part of the show is just such like a fun, like inventive, like cool idea, right? The idea that this is like being scored, but like not being seriously scored. The fact that at the end of it, you can be competitive about like wanting to win the show, you know, even though you can get points deducted for just like, like Pablo Torre, who was on the show a few times as a panelist. Yeah, more than a few times, but you know, like he got points like minus 76 points deducted at the start of a show because he was a Sixers fan, and like he was one of the first people who coined the term trust the process, and it was after the Sixers lost in the playoffs. And side tangent about the Sixers, why did they have to get the number 3 pick? I'm really annoyed by that. I really hope the pick does not work out. I'm sorry, it's my Sixers hater in me. I mean, it's cool, I guess. They have a number 3 pick. I mean, they can work out, but like, I don't know. It kind of annoyed me that freaking. I love the fact that Dallas got the number 1 pick and is most likely drafting Cooper Flagg. But I don't know, something about the draft lottery after that. I was like really, really annoyed that Philly got to jump into the top 3. Like, I don't know. I really do not think they deserve that. Okay, like I feel like they deserve to have a couple more losing seasons. But whatever. like losing in the playoff seasons, not like not making the playoffs at all, but like I kind of want like a couple more first round and second round exits for Philly, just a couple more, okay, to fulfill my hater itch, okay. I'm sorry, but it's like, yeah, they deducted 76 points from Pablo Torre's score to start the episode, right? Like that's like an example of not taking the scoring system seriously. It's like, I don't know, but they also do take it seriously because they track like, oh, like are you diving into cliches, right? Like are you saying something that's like overly trite of like, I don't know, something like a series hasn't started until the road team wins a game, are you like saying just things that like aren't really based on fact, are you just being a homer, there's a graphic for that. Like are you using like statistics to base your argument off of? There's a graphic for that, right? It's like, I don't know, it's just everything about the show, right? When you think about it, it's just so thoughtful, it's so it's nothing but it's great, man. It's, I don't know, it's like a whole generation of people. Yeah, it touched so many people. Like I before I started recording this episode, I saw one of the panelists, like Clinton Yates, right, who shared his behind the scenes of him filming his last appearance, right? And like at the end of it, yeah, like I saw his FaceTime because like on the last week of the show, like a bunch of old panelists came back, including Bomani and Jamel Hill, Izzy Gutierrez, right? Like they all like were a lot of them were pretty emotional, but yeah, Clinton Yates was one of the panelists, and after his FaceTime and I watched a behind the scenes video of it. And like he literally was crying. Yeah, he put on a brave face, and then like 2 seconds after the show stopped, right? The show officially stopped. Like he started crying, right? It's like it means that much to people. It meant so much to Tony Reali, right? Like he was doing press like the whole week when it was ending, right? And like he was talking about like, yeah, I don't know why they would cancel it, but I guess I made my peace with it not being around anymore, right? And it's like, yeah, like it meant so much to Tony Reali, right? Because he started hosting the show when he was 24 years old, right? It meant so much to the panelists, like Woody Page, his last FaceTime, he shared a story of a family who approached him in New York, right? And the family was like, oh, we watch Around the Horn religiously, like at 5 p.m. like when we're like eating dinner, right? Yeah, and like they talked about like how much their autistic son loved watching the show, right? It's like this is a show that affected so many people, right? I don't know. I did not expect to go this long on this topic, by the way. I wanted to talk about more things, but yeah, I guess this is just a thing that, I don't know, I've been thinking about a lot, It's just, yeah, I don't know how many more times I can say that Around the Horn is such a great show, and it's what, sports conversation needs. There needs to be like this sort of conversation, Yeah, a word that's been thrown around with the show when people have talked about it, yeah, is empathy, right? Empathy. Like with an E, yeah. Just like the idea that like this is a show that where like no one is in it to be like, I'm gonna freaking kill this athlete, I'm gonna freaking like, this athlete did not deliver, this athlete freaking choked, like how is this gonna affect freaking LeBron's legacy? How did freaking what happened affect his legacy? There was none of that. There's none of these like extremely superfluous, like extremely stupid in the grand scheme of things talks about like legacy and freaking I don't know. It's not that talking about someone's legacy is stupid, but just the way it's talked about on First Take, right? Like, how does winning or losing a playoff series affect someone's legacy? It's like, it's one series, man. Like, Jokic's legacy is affected by losing to the OKC Thunder in 7 games? What? like if anyone was gonna make that argument, man, I don't know. I don't think anyone has made that argument, but like there probably are like a couple people on some like fringe podcasts out there who've who said something to that effect. It's like what? Are you kidding me, man? Like how does freaking losing to the OKC Thunder, affect Jokic, a three-time MVP, champion, Finals MVP's legacy? How does it affect his? It's like, okay, sure, and that's the thing. It's like it's interesting to see people like Nick Wright, I barely say his name correctly, but yeah, like, how, like, it's interesting to see how, like, I think, like, he is someone who has a respect for the show, but it's like, at the same time, like, what he is a part of with his show, like, while I admit that that show is entertaining, and I have, and during the NFL season, like, I became addicted to it, but during the NBA, when they only talk about basketball, I dip out, because, like, I cannot handle just how frickin' horrible they discuss basketball, right? Like him and frickin' Colin Cowherd, right? Whenever they talk about the NBA, like, especially with, like, how they talk about the Celtics and Jason Tatum, like, not that I'm too much of a Celtics fan, but it's like, I feel like, yeah, I don't know, there's just something. I feel like we have regressed as a society, like, I feel like this is the worst of frickin' society, okay? That's what I feel like when I'm watching, like I talked before about like how like there was like a podcast near the beginning of the season where they're talking about like their ideas for, changing the 3-point line dimensions, right? Even like Chris Mannix, who writes about the NBA, is like, I talked about that before, right? Of like, just like, I think the problem is that everyone plays the same way. It's like, okay, it's like I don't know, man. Like, come on, man. Like, I don't know. Like, when you see Around the Horn and then you see something like that, when you see segments of like First Things First, when they talk about basketball, it's just night and frickin' day. They're on alien planets, they're on two different solar systems, they're in two different universes, right? In terms of just like the discussion and like what the discussion should be, right? I don't know. And that's the thing. It's like Around the Horn can have like, I'm not saying that the reporters on Around the Horn are infallible and that they can't have bad opinions, but it's like, at least where the bad opinions, that it's the opinions of someone who, like has like an actual history of like having, has like a journalistic background, keep on saying journalism, but I don't know, since when did I care about journalism? The same moment I cared about writing, okay? And the moment I cared about writing was mostly when I think, like, for me, was when I read young adult books in the library in 2017. That's when I started to care about writing. A little bit before then, but I don't know. It's like, that's the thing. That Around the Horn is the type of television series about sports that everyone should aspire to be like, That's basically it, And like, it's just, like a lot of the landscape, is just getting worse, Obviously, I guess I want you, if you want me to shout out good, genuine conversation that's, informative and entertaining, Zach Lowe, the Hoop Collective, right, is entertaining and informative. It's just so funny. Like, is it like there's a moment on the Hoop Collective podcast where freaking after the draft lottery, they did an emergency episode, and then Brian Windhorst just freaking yelled at Tim McMahon. He just yelled, "Got it!" It was so funny. That can be informative and funny. Man, sometimes Bill Simmons, even though he talks about sports in such a weird way, even like, if you can handle someone referencing like frickin' Pulp Fiction or frickin' like, it's like this house that's like broken down. It's like this whatever. It's like, if you can handle like 50 frickin' weird metaphors like each episode, I guess he's fine. But like, if you want me to shout out the stuff that I genuinely think is good discussion and good conversation around sports slash basketball in particular, yeah, the Hoop Collective, the Dunker Spot, especially for women's basketball as we enter another WNBA season, and the Caitlin Clark Angel Reese thing is a thing again. Please, can we just talk about the Aces and the Liberty? Like, there's such a genuine beef there. I'm waiting for the Secret Base episode where they document the Aces and the Liberty beef. Did you know that during the 2023 finals? Yeah, during the 2023 finals in the WNBA between the Liberty and the Aces, the one where like the Aces won and Chelsea Gray like did like like threw her crutch on the frickin' celebration pile and like jumped in on one leg, right? Did you know that during that, sometime during or like before that playoff run, Brianna Stewart's wife, her wife's father passed away, and like Brianna Stewart was like close with her father-in-law, and like that was a thing, right? That she said affected her like a lot. And then Becky Hammond proceeded, like not proceeded, but like Becky Hammond like joked after a game, like after the Aces won the championship, of like something to do with Brianna Stewart's field goal. It's like, oh, you shot 4 for whatever, right? And that was like a thing, right? That was like a little tiny moment in that is part of that beef, right? Yeah, I don't know. It's a whole thing, right? I don't know. Like, why can't we talk about that? But whatever. Why can't we talk about Paige Beckers getting drafted by the Wings, and then Nalissa Smith and Dejanay Carrington ending up on the Dallas Wings? Like, how did that happen? I don't know how that happened. It's just a thing. Very interesting thing if you know the lore. I talked about a bit of the lore. I guess an update is that Nalissa Smith and Dejanay Carrington are, in fact, together. They are a couple. I implied when I talked about that topic originally that they weren't, or like that, like they were somewhat exes, right? But yeah, they're not. Yeah, I think they're very much together, and they're very much a couple. So yeah, oh man, it's fine, man. It's fine. We can handle it. I'm handling the WNBA discourse by not seeing it. I'm just not seeing anything Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark related. Man, so yeah, Bomani like was like talking on his podcast of like, tell me how I can follow this without being online, tell me how I can watch this. And then I feel like there's a sentiment of like, just watch the games, but obviously, right, it was like the topic to talk about, if you're going to talk about the WNBA, the topic you talk about is the most alluring topic, which is Caitlin Clark and the Fever, and then Angel Reese, right? Like, that's the thing. I don't know. It's just a shame that Angel Reese's story has like for the time being like forever tied to Caitlin Clark, but I don't know. Hopefully that cannot be too much of a thing in the future. I'm just hoping for a time when it literally can just be about people watching games and commenting on players, devoid of any other talk about it. But whatever, it's fine, man. Did that take up 40 minutes of conversation? Jesus, I went freaking 30 minutes on Around the Horn. I went like twice as long on Around the Horn than just a normal episode. Oh man, I guess like if you were to score, I don't know, if you were to score my performance. Hopefully I didn't use like as much. Hopefully I didn't. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of shaky with, me speaking. I use, a lot. I'm sorry. It's just what I do, okay? I'm sorry. If I have to think about every single word I say, I feel like it would be a lot better, but I don't know. Part of this series for me, I've come to accept, is that I just want to get my thoughts out. As long as I don't make really gross noises in the way of things, or don't as long as like it's not too intrusive, the noises or sounds I make, like I'm mostly fine with how the words come out. if I repeat myself or if I use like too much. I've come to mostly accept it, but yeah, I will just edit any instance of me, like, not saying things that just don't add to conversations. But hopefully that was a good topic to start off on. One thing I did differently is that, yeah, I'm looking to my left right now. I wrote on a whiteboard that I have where I record the day before this episode. I'm recording the list of things I wanted to get to, and I already am like breaking over like I'm already almost at 50 minutes, so I don't know. That's topic one. Around the Horn is it really is perfect television. It really is such a great freaking show. It should be the gold standard, along with, pardon the interruption, of like what sports quote debate television should be. Not First Things First, not First Take, not anything produced by Barstool, not frickin' anything, not even Gil's Arena, not even frickin', it's like, yeah, look, all of those other things are entertaining and that's it. It's cotton candy, it's junk food, something, it can be good. It's like Little Debbie's snack cakes, like, when you're a kid, like, they taste good, but like, I don't know, I feel like, yeah, even for me, like, I don't know when the last time, yeah, like Hostess and Little Debbie, like, those like snack cakes are just not really, they really do not hit the same once you like look at the nutrition facts. It's like, yeah, no, there's like way too much sugar in these, right? Yeah, and that's the thing, like, if you want to have something like sugary, right, there's just way better options, like, yeah, like, if your choice is between, like, if you're at, like, a grocery store, right, like, say you're at Vons, right, and you want something sweet, right, and there's, like, the choice between, like, those, like the clear plastic package of, like, the chocolate chip cookies, or like Little Debbie's, right, snack cakes, right, like Swiss rolls or something. It's like you should always pick the frickin' like tray of cookies, right? Like, I don't know, like, that's the thing, yeah. Or just like Oreos or something. It's like there's no reason to eat freaking Little Debbie. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's sad, man, making the realization that, like, yeah, no, it's not, like, I'm just past the era of it, I guess I should be past the era of consuming sugar, It's, what's this? There's someone who tweeted, yeah, there's someone who, like, yeah, I don't necessarily go on Twitter that much beyond just what people are talking about in terms of NBA and like Survivor also. But like there was a tweet that said, like, if you're like over the age of whatever, like if you're let's say 25, if you're over 25 and have a sweet tooth, it's kind of embarrassing. It's like there's a reply of just like, well, I guess, what, are you okay with freaking cocaine though? It's like, you'll do drugs though, right? Oh man, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, when I want something sweet, it really is just, yeah, ice cream, or just, yeah, sometimes, when I'm in a grocery store, and I have money, I'm just like, yeah, why not just get the frickin' package of cookies, okay? those fresh baked, like, chocolate chip ones, yeah. Man, yeah, they can be good, but yeah, you eat like 6 of them, and then it's like, yeah, it's like too much, yeah, it feels like it's too much, right? You should stop, and then it's like, yeah, this is, yeah, I don't know. Usually with those things, like, I don't know. Like, I think the ideal for me in my current health right now is if I spread it over 3-4 days, right? If I can make like a 12 count pack of cookies like that last like 4 days, right? Yeah, 3 days where I only eat 4 a day. It's like, yeah, that would be the ideal. But yeah, I'm saying it's the ideal, not that I actually do that though. Oh man, what the hell is the next frickin' thing I want to talk about? Love on the Spectrum season 3? Wow, great. I wanted to talk about it last episode. Yeah, I only realized after I recorded it, where I'm like, oh yeah, no, I did not frickin' talk about that at all. Oh man, so what happened on this season of Love on the Spectrum, the most recent season that aired? That aired over what, like almost 2 months ago now? And I'm just only talking about, here's the thing, let me preface this. I do not want to see social media discourse about Love on the Spectrum. I'm putting that out there right now. So I do not want to see any social media discourse, and I have resolved to not seek it out. Okay, like if I come across like a video on my YouTube feed with like a title, yeah, because that has somewhat come up. Like I saw like a YouTube short of like Danny, like and from the show, and she was on a podcast being interviewed, like she was talking about the show, or like Danny shares behind the scenes of like whatever date, right? And I'm like, okay, you know, but one thing I will talk about in that regard is that Connor, I talked about the last time I talked about this series. Connor is amazing. He's probably one of the most entertaining, you know, and like you know, heartwarming characters. Not characters. Okay, scratch that from the record. Heartwarming people on the show, right? Because he's not a character. He's a real person. I'm sorry for saying that, but yeah, he's just one of the he's just a really cool, sweet person, you know. And the way that he talks still, he talks like he talks like he's the protagonist of a film, right? You know, it's like somewhat of like he somewhat speaks in a British accent, you know, even though he lives in Atlanta, and like his family is really supportive, right? Like like his mom and his sister and his brothers, right? Yeah. Oh man, it's just so good. Yeah. Anyways, with Connor, there's this ancillary content to Love on the Spectrum with him, where there's a YouTube channel. I think the YouTube channel is called Car Rides with Connor, right? And it features Connor's mom. And I think I'm going to I don't know, be a little shameless here and say that Connor's mom is somewhat like, it's not that weird to say that Connor's mom is, you know, an attractive person, right? I don't know. Yeah, she's attractive, right? And I don't know. I guess like whenever she's on screen, just because of like how supportive she is, I'm also noticing that, you know. And like I guess like of the other stuff, like I don't want to see any social media discourse about it. I have not tried to seek it out, but I have like watched a couple of those videos like on mute, right, where I don't like listen to it, but I just watch it. I guess I watch it with like captions on, and I guess it's just think of it as just her mom is driving Connor, and I guess like they're sharing tots as they're driving. I don't know, sometimes his brother shows up, I don't know. But yeah, that's the only other stuff I've seen of it other than the show. So yeah, like any new people on the show I want to talk about? Oh yeah, Pari. Yeah, there's this girl who is into public transit. She is into trains. She lives in Boston, like James, right, on the show, and she is into trains, man. She is talking about taking the T in Boston, and she's talking about taking T ventures, right, and riding the T.
I have a lot of rail friends. I started my own MBTA fan club, so it's like a group chat on Instagram where we all get together and plan times to ride the T and go on our T ventures. We love to take pictures and videos of the different trains and buses, try to find some rare catches. We know a lot about them. We're like the train experts.
And like she has buddies who she frickin' rides the T with, and then they get interviewed in the episode she's introduced, and then like the producer asks like, have you thought about dating Pari? And then her answering like, yeah, I've definitely thought about it before, but she said she was more into girls, and like that stopped quickly. It's so good. It's so good. Oh man, she is into trains. She is into public transit. It's so cool. It's so cool, man. They found like one of the best examples of like someone into public transit is their interest. And then she goes on a date with a freaking girl, and then she said, and then like in the middle of the date, she says, the girl she's on a date with says, we don't say Asperger's anymore because of the Nazi. And I'm like, oh, really? Oh, okay, cool. That's why they don't use that anymore. It's like, God, look at that. It's informative and it's entertaining. It's like Around the Horn, you know? It's great. See? Oh man, this is what, yeah, like Love on the Spectrum is what dating shows should aspire to be. You know, like we need more just dating shows that are not about the frills of like, this is a red flag for me. This is like, you know, we just need more dating shows that are about like, I just want to find connection, right? Like I just want to find someone else, okay, and not like this person lied about. It's like no, like that's the thing. It's, I don't know, like, and I guess like, I don't know, like I guess I'm not ruling out like the possibility that the show is a lot more like manicured than it might seem, right? Like I think like Terrace House, like I had that realization over the course of thinking about it, right? Where at first I'm like, wow, this is such like a distilled freaking show that's like only, you know, about people living in a house, right? And like it's such a good, it's yeah, portraying, you know, people dating in such a interesting way. But you know, like obviously the way a show is edited impacts like how people see it, right? Like Terrace House is edited in a certain way. Like the same thing with Love on the Spectrum, I think. And I think like that was a criticism of the show I think I've seen when I did care a tiny bit about social media discussion, right? Like I think like one person maybe was like making a TikTok or like a Twitter video showing like are they like editing the series to make it look more awkward than it actually is, right? You know, like I think like that is the case with like some, you know, of the people featured, right? I feel like with Tanner, right, who's on the show, right, like he has like these interactions and like they're edited in a certain way, right? There was like a scene in like season 2 where he's on a date with someone and like it was just cutting between like because like he like doesn't like to have silence in a conversation, so like everything he says they just cut to, yeah, they just quick cut like between every question he asks the person he's dating, right? And it was just really fast of just like what, yeah, what, how many pets do you have, what do you like to do, what are you do, yeah, like in that, you know, because like that's the thing, like he, you know, Tanner, you know, yeah, for him he was instructed of just like, you want to freaking get to know someone, you know, so you ask questions, right? Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know, it's, yeah, and I guess that could be an example of it, but I don't know. Anyways, beyond that criticism, like I don't know, I just mostly, yeah, I think the show is like really good, you know, I really enjoy it. And like another new person on the show was this girl Madison, and like Madison is just, she's into Disney. She's into freaking dolls and Disney princesses, you know, and then she finds this freaking guy who's into country music, and then there's this moment with her, yeah, that's somewhat similar, where she's literally quizzing this guy on the very first time they're meeting each other of just what key each country song, like every single country song she ever knows, you know, like what key is freaking Old Town Road in, what key is freaking Achy Breaky Heart in, you know, like what key is this song in, what key is this song in, and then the guy is just answering every single one. It's like C sharp, B flat, C, and then A. It's like, oh man. And then like the second time they meet, you know, they become official, and then the third or fourth time when like Madison brings the guy to her parents, she just friggin' is just openly making out with him in front of them. It's like, it's so good. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think, like, I don't want to see any social media discussion about it or, like, view a subreddit about it. Like, I learned from another subreddit that I was viewing, like, a thread in that, like, there's, like, a family member who is, like, supporting, like, a certain politician's view on something. It's like, look, I do not care about freaking seeking that out, you know. I think I don't know. I guess I'm choosing, you know, people can choose to freaking view all the social media content or be like, oh, this person isn't with that girl anymore, I'm tracking, you know. Yeah, like James like brings up his Instagram following, right? And then like one of his dates is on someone he's been DMing with on Instagram, right? And like the person he ends up with at the end of the season is someone he was talking on Instagram with too. And then like in that, yeah, it's interesting that like in that episode, right, in that final episode, it's James's birthday, right? He's like turning like 36 or 37, right? And then like he like the two of the people at his birthday, like in his backyard, were like two of the girls he previously went on dates with, but they decided to stay friends. So like one of them was like a girl he saw for a few dates in season 1, and then the other was a girl who he went on a couple dates with, and she kissed him on one of them in season 2. And I'm like, he's just, yeah, those two are just, yeah, like, oh man. And then they clear out, and then like the girl he's been DMing with on Instagram shows up, and then I guess they start kissing, and then he's just like, do you want to be my girlfriend? Oh man, I don't know. I guess like getting together, there was a lot of kissing in the series. Yeah, I guess like, is that everything else that it was from there? I talked about Madison, talked about Pari. Pari was so fun, man. Oh god, Pari was great.
Woo! Yeah! Woo!
Yes!
Yes! Yes! Oh my god, we got a horse!
Yes!
Oh man, that was just, yeah, oh man. I think she said something like, can we like kiss when we're like riding the T together? I don't know, man. Boston public transit isn't really talked about that much. I don't know. It's all like the New York like subway. You know, there's a whole podcast where freaking people are interviewing other people literally while on the subway. Oh man, I'm so tired of gimmicks, man. I'm so tired, man. Did I talk about there's like a show that this freaking Canadian guy, I think, does from a library, and like it's entertaining, but it's in that same vein of just like, do I want to watch, like, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm just like in a state where it's like I don't want to be a fan of like a YouTube channel in the same way I wanted to become a fan of YouTube channels back when I was like 12, 13, 14, even like 15, 16. I'm just like, yeah, I like the things I watch on YouTube are the Hoop Collective and various like NBA like podcasts, you know, like NBA related videos, right? Like, I don't know, secret base videos sometimes. Yeah. Many a True Nerd, he's one of like the only gaming YouTubers I see nowadays. Man, yeah, it's like, that's really it, man. Like, I just, yeah, I don't know. I follow like Nova, I guess. When SSOH comes back, if he comes back, I'll watch him, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just not into that anymore. When Ryan Higa returns, I guess I'll pay attention, but I don't know when that's gonna happen. Like on YouTube, on YouTube uploading videos. Maybe he has, but I haven't seen it. Like, yeah, but oh man, I don't know. Anything else before I talk about the big thing? Oh yeah, how did I not talk about it? Yeah, Abby. Yeah, Abby is with her boyfriend, right? Like who she's been with since the end of season 1. And like in it, like they're talking about, yeah, it's interesting because they interviewed like the parents, right? Like there's like a brief shot with like the parents, right? And like the producer asks like, have you talked about intimacy, you know, with them, right? And like I guess like they like and like they're like, yeah, I think we've somewhat like tried to bring it up, right? And then like when you see Abby alone with David, right? Like they talk about like having kids and getting married, right? They're literally talking about that, right? And like season 2, their whole thing was that they went to Africa together. They just had a trip to Africa, and the season ended with them singing a song from The Lion King. They sang "Can You Feel the Love Tonight?" You know, I didn't grow up with it, but yeah, it's like, yeah. And then like in season 3, it ends with like Abby like sings a song for David, right? She has like someone like play guitar, and then like she sings a song for him celebrating their anniversary. And like an interesting thing is that like Abby like drinks wine, but like whenever like they go to a wine tasting, right? And I think like, yeah, like David like does not drink alcohol. And like, yeah, one thing I noticed is that at the end of season 2, right, like she had a glass of wine or champagne or something, and then he had a glass of milk beside it, you know. Really cool. Yeah, isn't that cool? Isn't that just nice? You know, it's just like having your own preferences and just like being in a relationship with someone like that, you know. I don't know, like I these are just the things I'm noticing. Oh man, okay, is that it before I get to, yeah, Connor, yeah, how did I not talk about Connor's arc? Yeah, Connor ends up, like, very infatuated with, a girl he meets, and then, yeah, like, he's, his mom, like, has a scene where she's, like, tearing up, because of, like, just seeing how much Connor's grown, right? Yeah. Yeah, I talked about it before. I think I saw it when I rewatched the episode where I talked about it originally, of just like Connor's mom in season 2 saying that, like, Connor doesn't do anything, like Connor, yeah, like, he doesn't have any friends, like, he doesn't have anyone in his contacts, like, the only people, like, he calls are his family, like, that's only, he calls me and, like, his sister, and that's it, right? I don't know. And, like, the moment during that speed dating thing in season 2 where, yeah, like, at first, like, he didn't realize that he shouldn't be freaking marking the card, like, as the dates are happening, and also just, like, when he sees someone that he saw before, right, and then he just is so, like, shooken up over it, right, he has to go outside, right, I don't know, and then his mom has to, like, calm him down, I don't know, that was such a sweet moment, man. I guess, like, rehashing my thoughts on that, but one fun thing is that I did not see the actual final 2 episodes of season 2 until 2 months ago. So I saw the final 2 episodes of season 2. I don't know why, I just put them off, and then I saw season 3 immediately after that. And then, I guess in season 2, Danny, one of the women featured on the show, who is this animator, who's a really talented animator who teaches animation to young kids as part of her job, right? She meets this guy called Adon, and Adon is also interested in, like, animation, and he does these voices, and they go to, like, a convention where they meet Richard Horowitz, who is, like, the voice of Gurr, and Billy from Billy and Mandy, I think, yeah, and it's like, yeah, they become a couple at the end of season 2, and the thing Danny does, and, like, at the end of season 2, right, when they're on a date together, is that she brings cupcakes, and she brings cupcakes with frosting, right? And then Adon is like, oh, this is cool, right? Oh, yeah. Yeah, another thing about Adon is that he makes jewelry, so that's a cool thing about him. And that, like, and then the purpose for Danny bringing these cupcakes is to instruct her new boyfriend at the time, Adon, how to kiss. and then she's just openly, like, she brings them out, is like, oh, I brought you cupcakes, and he's like, oh, cool, and then they start kissing, and then she's just, like, talking him through it. She's just like, you see how, you move, like, you see how I'm licking the frosting? It's like, she's just instructing him like that. And like, I'm thinking, like, I know you're watching different people, but, like, obviously, no one, there has to be people who watch the show being like, what if I was put in that position? And I'm like, if I was in Adon's position, like, I would feel a certain way if, like this girl just bought cupcakes, and, like, I thought it was only purely just, a nice, sweet gesture, but she's using it as, like, see, this is a learning opportunity, It's like, look, like, I don't know. All I'm gonna say, this is a PG show most of the time. Sometimes it gets R-rated, but all I'm gonna say is, like, what if she wanted to do that with something else, right? Which leads me to season 3. And season 3, yeah, Danny and Adon, their storyline is that Danny wants, I guess it carried over from season 2 into season 3. One of the storylines of Danny and Adon, one of the parts of their relationship story, is that Danny wants to have a relationship where premarital sex is a part of it, right? And then Adon is very Christian, right? And then he, his view is that he doesn't, feel comfortable with that. He doesn't agree with that, right? And then when Danny initially asks Adon at the end of season 2, he's like, yeah, I'd be okay with it if it's safe, as long as it's safe, yeah. And like you can tell that he's caught off guard extremely, and then he's just saying that just to appease her, right? Usually I think there's that undercurrent of it, I guess I could be wrong about that, but that's how I interpreted it. I would assume a few people interpreted it that way too. But yeah, in season 3, the main thing is that Adon, it opens with like Adon being like one of the people introduced, right? Yeah, they introduce Adon as if they're introducing a new person to the cast, I guess, right? And he's like, oh, I'm Adon, I guess, yeah. He's he lives in frickin' a really nice house, man. Yeah, his father, I think, works in like DC. Like, I don't know what the hell his father does, yeah. But yeah. Yeah, I guess like what happens in season 3 is that Adon comes clean with Danny one day, and then he says, look, I'm sorry, I said I was okay with having premarital sex, but actually I'm not comfortable with it. Like, I'm not, like, only really, and then Danny does not take it well. Yeah, well, Danny initially is like, okay, that's fine, and then I think like there's like a shot of her alone, and then she just says something like out loud. She just out loud just blurts out like, oh, this can't work out, something like that, if I'm remembering correctly. And then the big thing near the end of the season is that like Danny calls Adon, and then I think like she wants to have clarification of just like when do you think you can change your mind on it, right? And then Adon just says like, yeah, I don't think this relationship is gonna work out if you are set in your ways, something like that. And yeah, basically their relationship ends because, they want different things. Danny wants to have a relationship where she wants premarital sex in that relationship, and Adon is not comfortable with it. And, therefore, like, Adon doesn't want that to be a part of their relationship. And yeah, how did I miss the biggest part of it? The biggest part is that in the first episode of the 3rd season, they are celebrating like 1 year of them being together, and Danny has this bright idea. The same girl who brought a giant Hershey's kiss to someone, when she said, "Do you want a big kiss?" Right? She, as a gift, as an anniversary present to Adon, she makes an animation, and in the animation, it shows
Oh my gosh. It's been a year. Is it time to do the deed? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
she literally makes a whole animation that's like over a minute long, or like over like 30 seconds long at least, where she spent time drawing frames and making this, and like on her computer, right? And she spent time, hours probably, right? Because animation takes a lot of freaking time. It takes hours upon hours upon hours just to make like 20 seconds, just to make 24 frames. It's like freaking like 60 hours of work or something like that. Yeah, I don't know, not accurate, right? If I was on Around the Horn, I would get points deducted, for like getting my numbers wrong. But it's like, it takes a lot of time, right? Like, think about just like the amount of time it takes to animate something that's even just 30 seconds, right? And this isn't black and white too. It's like full color, right? Right? So yeah, so that takes time too. Yeah, I guess you could just like use the fill bucket tool, but like she makes this whole animation and shows it to Adon, and then Adon is like, wow. Yeah, he says to his dad later on when he's talking with him, it's like, yeah, that made me feel pretty uncomfortable, Yeah. Oh man. And yeah, I guess that's yeah, the big thing. That's yeah. It was a sad thing. Yeah, it was a sad thing where Danny, you know, they yeah, obviously they break up over it, right? Like it ends in a phone call that Danny calls Adon, right? And then she's like crying as like, you know, she's realizing that like, oh yeah, yeah, this relationship, I guess this means we're breaking up if we can't agree on this, right? If we can't, you know, yeah, if this is like a fundamental difference between us, then we can't like be together, I guess. And I guess she's crying because she's realizing that, and she's realizing that she's hurting Adon's feelings. I think I'm interpreting it as that she's crying, you know, maybe like a small part of her because like the fact that it's their relationship isn't working out because he doesn't want something she wants, but she's also, I feel like, crying, to put my armchair psychology thing on. You know, I'm not majoring in it, but whatever. I think she's crying more so because she's hurting Adon's feelings, and that she knows that Adon is a great guy, but, you know, their relationship can't go on. Like, I feel like she's crying more so because, you know, Adon is a great guy, and she doesn't want to, you know, hurt him, but their relationship has to end anyway, you know? So, yeah. And do you know how many conversations on Twitter or on Reddit or on TikTok or whatever I've seen or heard or read about that situation? 0. And I hope it remains 0, man. Maybe I can see one opinion like a year or two later and be like, oh, really? That's what you thought? But I don't know. I am good, man. I am good just sharing what I think on YouTube. Yeah. I don't know. I guess, like, yeah, what can I do to add my perspective on it? Is that an acceptable... Is it an acceptable thing for Danny? Is it a valid reason for Danny to end that relationship? Yes. Yes, obviously. Is it okay for Danny to want that in a relationship? Yes. You know? Is it okay for Adon to not want that? And for Danny to not overtly pressure him by making an animation where, like, the message of it is, you know, we should have sex, right? Is it okay for Adon to feel uncomfortable by that animation? It's like, yes, right? Like, there's no like wrong people here, right? It's like they're all valid. They're all valid in their feelings, right? Like, it's like Danny is not wrong for wanting to, you know, wanting that to be a part of a relationship. Adon is not wrong for being uncomfortable with her being overt about it, right? Like, maybe Danny didn't need to make that animation and show it to him, but, you know, that's just how it goes, you know? That's the thing. I don't know how Danny would feel about, like, making that animation now, but I don't know. Like, I'm sure there's, like, do you know who Danny from Love on the Spectrum is with now? It's like, please, I don't want to know, man. Please, I want to be free. I really want to be free of discussion and discourse, at least for this year, man. Like, I don't know. Look, man, I'm replacing the Twitter segment with a list segment, okay? At least for now, you know, at least for now. I don't know. Is that basically all my thoughts on Love on the Spectrum? Yeah. I don't know. I just felt like I deserved to, I should talk about it since, you know, I guess I'm not talking about the book I'm currently reading. I'm reading, this book called Leche by R. Zamora Linmark. Yeah, it's a Filipino book. I'm back on my Asian American diaspora adult you know, literary type of fiction, you know. But yeah, this book was published in 2011. Yeah, it's about a young gay man going to the Philippines. Yeah, and coming back to the Philippines after having grown up there. Yeah, so and having lived in Hawaii for like half his life. So yeah, I'm only like 40 pages in, but yeah. Oh man, that was a lot. I don't know if I'm gonna cut anything. Yeah, is that it? Let's see what's next on the board. Oh yeah, I had the Celtics and Nuggets future. Yeah, I guess I could just briefly talk about that. Jason Tatum tore his Achilles. It's really sad. Yeah, I don't know. Like the Celtics like are in like kind of a very weird state, you know. Like, I don't think this turns the Celtics into a lottery team, right? Like, this doesn't make the Celtics like bottom of the East without Jason Tatum, but it definitely hurts them a lot, right? They're not gonna win the championship. Yeah, their repeat hopes died, and then their chances to win the championship next year most likely died as well too, right? So yeah, there are no dynasties in the NBA for the near future. And I guess like to briefly make a larger point of it, I am tired of the NBA trying to enforce parity on the league, okay? Like, I kind of want a little bit, we should tilt a little bit more towards the dynasty slider, man. We should tilt more towards non-parity, right? I would have liked it if the Nuggets were in the finals last year. I would have liked it if the Celtics were in the finals this year. I think the ideal finals that would have that should have happened this year was the Thunder versus the Celtics. Like, I want teams that actually have a chance to repeat. Like, can we please have the team that wins the championship at least make it to the conference finals in the next season? Can we not have a streak of them losing in the second round, right? Like, obviously, right, it's like the Celtics and the Nuggets, yeah, there's an element of them bringing it on themselves, right? But it's like, I don't know, man. Can they at least make it to the conference finals, man? At least, like, I don't know. I'm getting real tired of freaking this parody, you know? And I know it's not, the explanation isn't simply parody. It's like Tatum's injury. It's them blowing the 2 games at home to start the series. It's freaking the Knicks being tough and gritty, even though that grittiness doesn't mean freaking SH against the freaking Pacers, you know? Freaking Halliburton choking. You know, yeah, just choke some more, man, please. I tweeted an unexpectedly fun hate watch in referencing the Knicks. Yes, I agree. With my own tweet. Man, yeah, but I don't know. Hopefully the Thunder win this series against the Timberwolves. Yeah, like, this game maybe might make you think, like, can the Wolves win the series? But I don't know. I think mostly the Thunder have it, especially since they won the first 2 games at home, right? Like, they only just need to win 2 more, right? Like, I find it hard to believe that, barring an injury, that the Thunder don't get to win 2 games first over the Wolves, you know? But whatever. Yeah. The Pacers, though, maybe the Knicks can come back, because I don't know. But I really would appreciate it if the Pacers just won Game 3. Yeah. As far as the Nuggets' future, it's a little bit more bright. You know, David Adelman is likely going to be their next head coach. Michael Malone made somewhat of a comment as he was recently brought on to ESPN to cover the Western Conference Finals, and then he said after Game 1, is like, Shea proved why he's the MVP, and then he had to clarify afterwards. He's like, look, if I had a vote, it would have gone to Jokic, but kind of a funny thing, yeah. So, like, David Adelman, I think, like, Nuggets fans would be all for him being the next head coach. He's proven himself to be, like, a pretty good one, like winning the Clippers series and taking the Thunder to 7 games, you know. Yeah, and, like, really, I guess the takeaway for the Nuggets is that this is still, like, the starters at least, this is still a championship contending core at their best, right? Like Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., even though he had a shoulder injury, and like Aaron Gordon at their best, even though he had a hamstring strain that he tried to play through in Game 7, right? It's like, yeah, like Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic. Jamal Murray, by the way, who, you know, during the regular season doesn't prove that he's worth his contract, but during the postseason proves he's worth his contract. You know, really odd player, you know. Oh, man, not an All-NBA or even an All-Star level player in the regular season, but delivers when you need him the most in the postseason. Really weird player that is. I love it, man. I don't know, but yeah. Jamal Murray, Jokic, MPJ, Aaron Gordon, Christian Brown, also stepping into KCP's role. A lot of people were like wondering why, chastising the Nuggets for not extending KCP, but like Christian Brown has turned out to, you know, fill in that role pretty well, right, with his defense. He's a above average defender, you know, and he can make shots when the Nuggets need him most of the time, right? Yeah, like Peyton Watson is still a question mark mostly. Yeah, offensively, yeah, Julian Strawder, who had a really good performance in Game 6 against the Thunder, right? He's still like, can you know, is he part of this Nuggets team for the long term, right? I think there's still somewhat of a question on him, right? But yeah, like, I don't know. Hopefully, you know, that's the thing. Like, I think, yeah, Jokic said the team's still in the playoffs. They have a longer rotation. They have a bench, right? Even the Knicks have a little bit more of a bench than the Nuggets. So, yeah, that's really just the only lesson, really, is that if the Nuggets had a more developed bench, right, they probably would be in the finals, right? Like, they probably would be. Like, if they were healthy and had, like, a better bench than just Russell Westbrook and Dario Saric, who never played, right? If they have a better bench than just Russell Westbrook, Peyton Watson, right? Like, and Jalen Pickett, right? They probably could make the finals, right? Yeah, and there's a chance they can win the championship. So, yeah, they're not too far away, but yeah, the big question is like, how can they fill out their bench with these freaking second apron rules, you know? And that's the whole thing. The second apron is a parody thing, mostly. I feel like it was instituted. It was initially instituted to stop Steve Ballmer, especially from like just signing all the free agents and spending the most money to make the team better. But like, I don't know, it's too restrictive, man. I don't know, like, it's fine, like, it's gonna stay, but like, I don't know, I would prefer it, even though it's nice to see like 7 different teams win championships in 7 different years. It's better than, I prefer that over like Cavs Warriors for 5 years in a row, even though I wasn't there to witness it firsthand. But it's like, I don't know, I just want like a team to win 2 out of 3, you know? Like, I want a team to win, I want a team to make it to the finals in back-to-back years. That's the kind of not parody I want, you know? Can we at least have that, you know? Like in the NFL, right? Yeah, like the Chiefs were in the Super Bowl like 3 straight years. I mean, yeah. I don't know. It's like it'd be nice to have like to turn this slider that's like sliding a lot more towards just like parody, right? Like, yeah, never trust that the number 1 seed is gonna win the championship, right? Like, it's like, I don't know, like, it just would be nice, man. It would be nice if you know, teams had a bit more of a chance to become dynasties. But yeah, I guess after Golden State, it's like, we don't want that. Whatever, man. I guess that's that topic down. That rundown is just like, it's so long. I spent more than half the episode freaking talking about Around the Horn and Love on the Spectrum. Yeah, I talked about it for a decent amount. Oh man. I have Your Lie in April, rewatching that. Yeah, should I talk about that? Should I talk about it after a commercial break? I guess I will. Yeah, so after a commercial break, which is just me cutting, here are my thoughts after rewatching Your Lie in April. So I rewatched the anime series Your Lie in April recently. Yeah, I watched the last episode of it like 2 days ago now. And yeah, funny thing is that today I was at my local library and they had the copy of the manga. Yeah, they had like the final volume of the manga. Yeah, the manga's only 11 volumes. It's pretty short, right? And I read like the last chapter. And yeah, it kind of got me, man. It really, yeah. Like, Your Lie in April is the show. Yeah, I guess if I were to explain it a little bit more in depth than I did last time, last episode. It's about this middle schooler called Kosei Arima. He is a pianist. You know, he spent his childhood playing the piano. He was this expert level prodigy. You know, his mom was abusive towards him, but she was also like sick and dying too, right? And then his mother died, and then he couldn't play the piano anymore. He has this thing where he can't like hear the notes, and then you know, his life is in monotone. But then, you know, he meets this girl called Kaori Miyazono, who lights up his life basically. Yeah, he makes his world colorful, and like, she like acts extremely erratic and chaotic, but like, that's the beauty of it, is that she acts like that. Like, she can be frustrating at times, like, and also just extremely beautiful at times, you know. And I think, like, I don't know, I think that describes just the whole series, right? Yeah, I think that I was thinking about it the whole time as I was rewatching the series, you know. I think like the main thing I take away is that this is a really interesting series to rewatch, you know. I think like when I first watched it, I enjoyed it, but I don't know. I think I was like rewatching it from the lens of like, should this, you know, is this show deservedly like a classic when you talk about anime, right? When you talk about romance anime, I guess in particular, or just you good anime in general, right? Like, does this like deserve its status, and I think its status as like a good series, yeah, I think like my verdict was that yes, I feel like it does deserve it, because I feel like I was hearing things. I was like, I guess I wasn't avoiding the discourse for this, but yeah, I think like there have been people either online or not, I don't know, who have been like criticizing it or like being like, like not necessarily liking the choices the show makes, right? It's interesting because there's a Reddit rewatch that I like was seeing the threads of, and like the person who was like hosting the rewatch was like writing these like long in-depth comments for each episode, and like a lot of them were filled like early on, yeah, especially throughout early on in the series, yeah, in those episode threads of like the person's like complaints with the show, right? Yeah, and I feel like, yeah, it's interesting because I feel like there is a lot to pick at with the show, right? I think the biggest thing to pick at with it is that like it's very incongruous. Yeah, that's the term I use. It's a big somewhat academic word, just like things don't like necessarily match. Like it's not the most cohesive thing, and what I mean by that is that like there's elements like it from the tone of it from episode 1, like it seems that it wants to be this like serious story about someone dealing with grief and someone dealing with not being able to play the piano but being but slowly being let back into that world, right? Through the help of, a chaotic force and the power of young romance, right? But the whole thing is that, like, Kosei is, like, he's saddled by trauma and, like, deep trauma of his mom, right? And then, like, the person who comes into his life, one of the things she does is, like, whether it's, like, anime violence or not, whether it's cartoonish or not, like, she kind of abuses him, like verbally and sometimes physically, like as like visually in the show, right? And it's like, yeah, like that is an element that can be hard to wrap your head around, I guess, right? There's always the patented thing of like, it's a work of fiction, right? It's an anime. It's it shouldn't be hyper realistic. But thinking about it, from the perspective of Kosei being like a victim of trauma, right? Like why would he fall in love with this girl who is freaking like yelling at him a lot of the time and like pushing him to play through these like methods, like why is he falling for this girl, right? Yeah, that's kind of the incongruous part I'm talking about, I guess. But I don't know, like I think it just like it applies to the show as a whole, that like I think the beauty of Your Lie in April is like how much it doesn't necessarily it isn't the most cohesive like work, right? Like yeah, it's a bunch of different like elements, I think like if I were to put it in different terms, right, I think the biggest criticism I have of Your Lie in April is that it's too much of an anime at times, like I feel like for Your Lie in April for me to truly think of Your Lie in April as like an all-time great show instead of just a very good show, I think like it's on that level of like it's very good. It's very good with great moments in it, rather than like it's an all-time stamped like great show. Even though it's in my top 30, I would put it, I think it's like number 20. Yeah, it's number 26 through 30, somewhere there. Because I made a list, because I have nothing else to do. Because I'm not looking at book Twitter, okay? Is there a problem with the books? Is there a male reading crisis? Who knows, man? Because I'm not seeing those tweets, man. I don't know, man. Did Kate show up again? Like, dude, what is she doing, man? I don't know. Like, she had that post, but it's like, what if I want to read Crown of Starlight, man? Yeah. Anyways. Like, I think my main criticism of Your Lie in April is that it's too much of an anime at times, right? It's too anime-like in terms of just like it gives you whiplash, right? And I talked about whiplash when I talked about Honey and Clover, but I feel like it does what Your Lie in April does like way better, where like it can be like comedic and dramatic and like shift between the two really well, right? Or like Trigatsu, you know, yeah, Honey and Clover and Trigatsu is yeah, by the same mangaka, Chika Umino, right? And I think like yeah, I feel like Your Lie in April kind of needed to have the tone throughout the series of something like March Comes In Like a Lion, right? Where, you know, it has comedic moments in it, but it doesn't like totally make you feel like, wait, well, how did that, yeah, like why is it like being comedic now, right? You know, rather it gives you the feeling Trigatsu does of being like, oh yeah, this is a nice break from all of the sad stuff that's going on, right? Like Your Lie in April to me doesn't give you that feeling of like, oh, the comedy is a nice distraction, you know, the comedy is just a distraction, you know, sometimes. There's this scene in like there's this, yeah, I guess I'm spoiling it, but like in the very last chapter, like in the last episode, there's an interaction between Tsubaki, who is like or Arima's childhood friend, right, who plays a important part in the romance of the story, right, and like her friend, right, and then they just make a joke of like, oh, she's into BL, right? She's read 108 books. It's like, did they really need to put that in that scene? It's like in one of the final scenes of the show. I don't know. Yeah, that's like one of the examples of that, you know. And I guess like Kaori, like being shown to like, you know, like yell at freaking Kosei a lot, you know, while, you know, he's dealing with like the feelings of like his mom dying, right? And like his mom pushing him to the point of freaking abusing him, right? It's like, I don't know. But yeah, you could also see it as like he needs that sort of motivation, right? It's like he's not going to be motivated any other way, right? He needs a swift kick in the ass, right, in order to get back into playing the piano. And Kaori believes that like it's essential for Kosei's life, right? Yeah, and that's the thing, like he needed, and I think that's the ultimate lesson of it, is that like sometimes you need that realization of like something. You need an outside force to really push you out of your comfort zone, even when you don't feel like you can do something, right? Like, yeah, and like Kaori, you know, as a love interest and as a character realizes that, you know, Kosei is special, and that he needs to go back into playing the piano again, like even whether he doesn't want to, yeah, whether he likes it or not, he needs to be pushed into doing this again, right? and then yeah, the interesting thing is that, yeah, they only Kaori and Kosei only do one performance together, right, where he's the pianist and she's the violinist, right? Yeah, I don't have to tell you, yeah, it's a sad show, man. The ending, especially reading it in manga form, right, it's the first time I've done that, right? Just today, literally just today, I'm like, yeah, no, this is freaking, yeah, it hits you, man. It really hits. It hit for me, at least, you know. Like, I don't know. It didn't get to like Morgan Matson Second Chance Summer levels, you know, deep cut, I guess, somewhat deep cut. I talked about it in the first episode I posted this year, but yeah, it didn't get to that levels, but yeah, it definitely was like a thing, you know. It got me like almost like Clinton Yates at the end of Around the Horn ending, you know. It got me like Harry Lyles or Izzy Gutierrez almost, you know. It got me like them at their FaceTimes when Around the Horn was ending. God, during their final FaceTimes, it's like, yeah, like yeah, that's the thing, like, is the show like manipulative, right? Like, is the show like is the show just like a cry porn show where it's like its purpose is to make you sad and that's it? It's like, no, it's much more than that. There's much more to take away from it than just it's a sad story, you know. It's a fun, yeah, it is a fun show, right? Yeah, like there are moments when like the comedy is like really nice, right? And like, you know, the romance in it is really good, right? And like the last episode in particular, right? Like the performance in the last 2 episodes, right? Like of just like Kosei playing and then like, you know, seeing Kaori there, right? It's like it works so well. Like it is such like a great freaking scene, right? Like that's the highlight of the series, right? Seeing that last performance and seeing Kaori and like the sadness, the sad realization of what's happening, you know, and like how it doesn't pull punches, you know, like it tells you, it like is straight up about Kaori, right? Like it's not gonna end well for her, right? Like it's very clear, the ending of one episode, you know, where she's alone in the hospital, right? Like the ending, there's a scene in the penultimate episode where like she's just crying in his arms, right? It's like, it's, yeah, like those scenes are just beautiful. Yeah, they're just saddeningly beautiful. They're beautifully sad, right? It's like it works, you know. It works so well. It's yeah, but overall, I think there's just something like missing to make it like all around like a great show. You know, like I don't think it's like, you know, like I think the show is like yeah. I feel like the show, it brought me back to 2018. You know, when I was watching it. You know. Yeah, in that time. And I guess like since I'm like turning 25 this year, I guess I've been thinking about nostalgia a little bit more. I've been thinking about the things I was into like 5-10 years ago a little bit more than I usually would be, but I don't know. It's, yeah, it was worth rewatching. I'm glad I did. And yeah, I think it hit me a little bit more than it did originally, so that's really good. Those are my thoughts on Your Lie in April. It's worth rewatching. Like it's a very good show with great moments, but I don't view it in the same way I do like Trigatsu or Honey and Clover or Nana, you know, like it's not in the inner circle for me of like all-time great shows. Yeah, and like Clannad After Story like is also the same thing, but like I feel like the great emotional moments are just even greater than in Your Lie in April for me especially. So yeah, I guess those are my thoughts, I guess, if you needed them. Man, I'm watching shows right now. Yeah, I guess I'll just share my thoughts on a show the next episode, which hopefully will not be next month, you know, as I have a little bit more time on my hands. So yeah, I guess that's that topic done. Yeah, so the only thing I have to do now, I put on the topic list my top books of all time. I'm gonna reveal 11 through 20. Even though I revealed the whole list in the description, I guess I just want to do a thing where I talk through each of my selections, I guess. So yeah, let me just go to sleep so I do not get hounded. Brief moment where I'm just talking about the gameplay. I'm just running my house that I built that I did not record. It's weird how I just did that. I don't know, man. I don't know how long of like actually it took. Probably like a couple hours. I was just listening to an NBA podcast while doing it. Yeah, mostly I was just doing that. Anything else I want to talk about before? Is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander a foul baiter? Yes. Is Jalen Brunson a foul baiter? Yes. Do I care? Not really. But I just think it's funny. Yeah, I agree. Like there's a post on the Timberwolves subreddit calling him a despicable basketball player. It was so funny. It was so good, man. Oh man. Can I try to make this quick, right? Yeah, I'm gonna try to make it quick, but yeah, this episode might eclipse 2 hours. I don't know. There isn't much I have to cut, right? Yeah. I also added a favorite albums of all time list, so I guess that could be a thing I get to. But yeah, I guess I'm just gonna go back to books for this list. So yeah, let me just go up on the roof in the video game I'm playing, because I am playing a video game. I'm not just recording a podcast. Yeah, I'm playing the video game as I'm talking, which is making it a let's play categorically, but you know, spiritually it's a podcast. But no, spiritually it is a let's play. You know, I'm honoring frickin' the people who played Minecraft before. I'm honoring the people who played Minecraft before, okay? I'm honoring them. That's who I'm honoring, okay? But not like parodying it, okay? I'm like doing my own thing. But yeah, anyways. Yeah, I guess if I were to very quickly mostly briefly, give my thoughts on my top 11 through 20 books. There's some interesting ones here. Yeah, this is a really interesting slice of my list. Okay. Oh man. Okay, I shared my top 10 like what, 2 episodes ago? Yeah. Last episode was top 20 anime. I talked about it a lot. I talked about the selections in depth, and I used extremely a lot. Okay, so the goal is to not say extremely or very. Just try to frickin' not say those words. Okay. Number 11 on my list, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. What do I need to say about this? It's about the American dream, the green light, the symbolism with that. How, I think like there's a crash course video, and like John Green talks about how the first words, the opening lines of the prose just feel like it's like in the rhythm of a jazz song, right? Yeah, like in my younger and more formative years, right? Like just the whole book, right, is like about the 1920s and the Roaring 20s, old money versus new money. Tom being like, "What kind of row are you trying to cause in my house anyhow, Mr. Gatsby?" That moment, was it like Daisy being like, "That's all a woman can be, a beautiful little fool," right? It's like Nick, like when like they're fighting, spoilers, but like Nick is like, "Oh, it's my birthday, I just turned 30." It's just it's fun. It's a fun piece of literature. It deserves its status. Yes, 100 years on, is The Great Gatsby overrated or underrated? It's like, I don't know. Not much else to say about it, right? I wrote a whole essay on it, yeah, and like, I don't know. I wish I could get that back, but yeah, I don't know. I want to see like exactly what I wrote, but I was writing something about the green light, It's like we're all searching for that green light in our lives, Like we're all like, there's always something that like we're reaching towards, but we can't quite reach it yet, Like in like the symbolism of like Gatsby trying to reach for the green light, right? But like he can't quite reach it, right? Even if he, made himself rich, right? He's new money, he can't ever be old money, right? There's that whole divide between that and the whole thing. I don't know, I haven't seen the film. I saw the 70s one, yeah, when I was in high school, but not the newer one with Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't watch movies, okay? I read mostly, but not the types of books that a lot of people read, but maybe some people, but not people my age. I don't know. Anyways, here's a book that most average 24-year-old males do not have as number 12 on their all-time favorite books list. Number 12, The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson. Do I need to explain this? I mean, like, it's Morgan Matson. She makes her books, her stretch of, like, her stretch. I think, like, yeah, Since You've Been Gone, Unexpected Everything, yeah, and, like, Second Chance Summer, Amy and Roger's Epic Detour before that, right? They're so good, Though, like, she creates, this whole world, especially in this book, right, of Stanwich, Connecticut, right, of, like, like the characters, and there's references to a future book of hers, right? Like, it's about a girl who takes up walking dogs after her plans for doing this like doctor training program summer program at a university fall true, right? And then she she falls in love with this fantasy author, right, who has writer's block, right? And then it's all about being the beauty of like living out like things that are unexpected, and like also like her father's a politician and she grows closer towards her father, I don't know, it's just great. It's just filled. There's a scavenger hunt in it. There's an amazing freaking, oh my god, I just forgot about that. There's an amazing fight between two friends over just, oh my god, like god. Yeah, it's just so good. Yeah, Toby and someone else, right? It's so freaking good. Yeah, Bree and Toby, I think. Yeah, like someone just left her phone out. It was so good. I don't know. Yeah, not many 24-year-old men are gonna have this on their favorite books of all time list, but I feel like this is gonna stay for a while at least. Yeah. Number 13, More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera. Yeah, I think this is Adam Silvera's best book, I think, like, I don't know what other people will say. Many people, maybe there's some Infinity Reaper, like Infinity Soul stands out there, you know, but yeah, no, Infinity Sun stands out there, or like They Both Die at the End, History Is All You Left Me, which are like, yeah, History Is All You Left Me I read, that's really good too, but I don't know, there's something about this book. Yeah, I read it in 2021, and I wrote a little blog post about it back when I did that. You know. Yeah, and it's just, yeah, it has this speculative element that's so great, you know, and yeah, it's just combined. It's like really like heartbreaking at times, but you know, I don't know. It's Adam Silvera, I feel like, at his best, even though it was his debut, right? And like the richness with which he portrays the Bronx, right? And like the characters, right, of like the people on his block, right, on a frig, you know, like, yeah, you can tell like it's so rich in that, you know, locality, you know, it's so good. It's great, you know, that's the thing. I don't know, anything else would be spoiling it too much. Number 14, With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. And I think, like, yeah, I also could put The Poet X here, but I guess I'm just giving the edge to the book that's just prose, right? Yeah, and just like Elizabeth Acevedo for being a poet, right? For being, I feel like mostly associated with being a poet, even though she has this, she has like an adult novel out as of recently, right? I don't know, her prose is just really freaking good, man. I don't know, it's about this young girl who got pregnant at 16 and had a kid, you know, and it's like she's managing being a young mother, right? And like she's managing, you know, her baby daddy with like wanting to go to culinary school and like all this, and falling in love with someone new, right? And like learning from like a chef, like going to Spain, right? You know, it's about cooking. It's like the way with which like food and cooking is described in the prose is so like, is really, really nice. I think I talked about it. I think it was my number one, yeah, favorite book I read in 2023. Yeah, like I don't need to say much more about it, right? Yeah, like just the prose is extremely rich and flavorful and textured, right? There's like a scene, I think, like, yeah, a scene with intimacy where it's like she describes, the main character describes like her stretch marks, right? And it's like this, yeah, it's just a thing you don't see that often, right? Is that this is a character who has given birth before, and that like she's somewhat self-conscious about, you know, yeah, like that, you know, like she, like her body is described like that, you know. I don't know, just small details like that. And there's also like, you know, it also takes place in Philly, and there's like a Joel Embiid shout out in there. It's like Joel Embiid retweeted our, you know, because there's a fundraiser in it, and and I guess Elizabeth Acevedo takes like a bit of artistic liberty to be like, well, Joel Embiid, a Philadelphia 76ers player, retweeted this, and I guess like that is not the most unrealistic thing, but like, you know, I don't know. It's still a great book though. Oh man. Anyways, number 15, The Gangster of Love by Jessica Hagedorn. Again, with this author, I could put Dog Eaters here. I think like you could sub either one, but yeah, I think like The Gangster of Love, I guess I like the second generation aspect of it. You know, I like the aspect of it being like Filipinos, a Filipino family who moves to San Francisco and like immigrates to America from the Philippines, and like the disconnect that can bring, right? Yeah, again, like Asian American diaspora literature, you know, it's like, especially from the 1990s, right? I'm into that, man. I am into that. And just like, yeah, again, like it's the same with Dog Eaters, right? Like the style of it, right? The style, and just like how, like Jessica Hagedorn, yeah, I don't know. I guess you can tell that she loves like soul music, right? Like she loves soul and old R&B music. She references Jimi Hendrix, right? You know, it's like, yeah, like there's a joke of like, did you know, like, do you think that Jimi Hendrix was Filipino or something? There's like scenes that take place in screenplay format, you know, it's like, it's just so stylistically so good, man. I don't know. I really like books as of recently. I've been really gravitating towards books that have such a distinct style like that, where it's like you have a chapter and it's like, oh, instead of just prose, this chapter is like literally written as if it's a screenplay, right? And it's like this dream sequence, you know. Yeah, and like it follows this young woman as she, as she goes through, as she meets this man, and then they move to LA and they move to New York, right? And it ends with her returning to the Philippines, right, to see her father, right, who she hasn't seen in a long time, right? And in the middle of it, like the Imelda Marcos trial happens, right? It's like, I don't know, it's just again, stylish, I think it's the same thing when I think of Ayazawa and like her work of Nana, Neighborhood Story. And I think I haven't talked about Neighborhood Story. I'll talk about it in the future episode, but Last Quarter, like just not Paradise Kiss especially, right? Tommy February with that OP. It's like, stylish, and great, the prose. Really nice, There's a line in it. I guess I'm spoiling the specific lines in the book, but there's a line in it that I remember to this day of just like the main character just said, like, Filipinos are the original party animals. They like to eat, drink, have sex. It's like, what? What? Are they? I guess they are. I don't know. I guess they are, man. Okay, number 16. A book I read in 2021. I think, my favorite book I read in 2021, I think. It's hard. Yeah, one of them at least. Once Upon a Quinceañera by Monica Gomez Hira. Yeah. Again, I wrote about this. Yeah, back when I did that, I did write about it. Yeah, I guess I could just restate what I wrote about. I think I said something about, it's a story that is basically like a telenovela in prose form. It has these wacky elements, that you don't really see. A character who hasn't, a main character who hasn't graduated high school yet due to like missing out on like a volunteer requirement. It's like you didn't complete the senior project, so you don't get your high school diploma. I don't know. So she hasn't graduated high school yet. Her cousin is gonna have a quinceañera, and she's 16 instead of 15, but they're still having a quinceañera. She's not on the best terms with her cousin. Right? She has this ex, who is like somewhat, who comes back into her life, while she's in the middle of like crushing on another guy, right? But she has to be paired with this ex in question in order to be part of the quinceañera, Yeah, and like she brings up her being a chonga, I don't know the specific definition behind it, but yeah, it's like, it's just like how she I perceives herself, and like how she doesn't want to be defined by being perceived as that. She wants to be defined by being something more than how she sees herself, right? And like the story I think I wrote about is just like being seen as more than beyond your circumstances, but yeah, like not having your own personal circumstances define you as a person, right? Yeah, like really good lesson. And I think if I were to think about it, this is one of the best YA books in the 2020s so far. If I were to have any opinion on it, I haven't read enough, man. I haven't read Fourth Wing, but whatever. I haven't read Check and Mate or something, but I don't know. What do I know? Number 17, Look Both Ways by Jason Reynolds. And this is one of the books called Look Both Ways on my list. I think I'll get to the next one in the 30s. Yeah, if I ever get to it. So yeah. I also talked about this. Yeah. It's a middle grade book. It's a bunch of stories. It's a novel told in 10 blocks, and like the stories in it are really good. I talked about, there's this sentence that's the overarching theme of the book, a school bus falling from the sky, which is a phrase that is in every story in the book. And it's just these stories of these middle school kids. One of them deals with bullying. One of them deals with like trying to like cheer a girl trying to cheer her mom up. One of them deals with like a girl who is like very a girl who like looks down, or like a girl who yeah, like some like it's like, oh no, I punched a dog. A girl who's like going home from school in a particular way, right? You know? Oh no. I guess they're fine, right? There you go. Yeah, there's like one of them is about a group of kids who like are like hustling, you know, for like ice cream, right? And yeah, I guess I'm spoiling it, but yeah, they're called the low cuts, you know. Yeah, it's really, yeah, just really good. Jason Reynolds is one of those authors where I have him stamped as like I'll pretty much want to read anything he writes, you know. He has a new YA book that he put out recently. Yeah, so I'm interested in reading that and the rest of the track series if I get to it. Oh man, okay. Number 18, a classic also. The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. Oh man, do I like Ernest Hemingway or F. Scott Fitzgerald better? You know, I think like for me, like personally, I like just the simplicity and like the style and just like the whole vibe of Ernest Hemingway a lot. Like I resonate with that more and like his short stories. But yeah, I like both equally. You know, even though I've only read a couple short stories by F. Scott Fitzgerald and The Great Gatsby. I haven't gotten to his other books yet, but yeah, The Sun Also Rises. Yeah, it's really like the 1920s version of like a coming of age story. Yeah, not a coming of age story, but just like a 1920s version of just like I'm young and lost. You know, it's one of the quintessential books of the lost generation, which is these group of like mostly like artistic people, you know, writers who some of them fought in World War One, and then they became disillusioned, and a lot of them moved to Paris, right? Became expats. A lot of them linked up with Gertrude Stein, and then Gertrude Stein said to all of them, "You're all a lost generation." I have an episode named after it. It's good, but yeah, it's one of the quintessential books that like kind of captures the spirit of it, of just like this mostly young person. I think he's 30 years old, but yeah, like they decide to go to Spain, right, on a whim, and then like there's bullfighting portrayed in it, and like there's somewhat of a love triangle, which is really funny. Like there's a scene I remember of just like the main character Jake, right, talking with another man, right, with another guy, and then the man's like, are you in love with this woman? Are you in love with Brett, the love interest, right? And like there's another guy, Robert, who's also in love with her, and he just is following them, and then there's like a fight near the end of the book. You know, I don't know. Yeah, I really love the ending of the book. Yeah, like it has a very kind of bittersweet ending. So yeah, I guess very good book, you know. Classic 1920s American literature, man, one of my favorites. Okay, number 19, Patron Saints of Nothing by Randy Ribeye. Man, gee, I wonder what I like about this book. I don't know, man. Yeah, if you look at the cover, you know, it's a teenage boy holding with the backdrop of one of the symbols of the Filipino flag behind him, and he's holding kind of like the flames or like the shining stars of the flag in his hands, you know. And it's I don't know. I wonder what I enjoyed about this story, you know. It's about, you know, a Filipino American traveling to the Philippines and learning more about the culture he does not know about, you know. Somewhat relatable, I don't know, somewhat relatable, you know. Yeah, and he's trying to figure out what happened to his cousin, and like it's inspired by the drug war of Rodrigo Duterte, where, if you didn't know, during Rodrigo Duterte's presidency, there's this whole thing of it also didn't bring up that Rodrigo Duterte has been tried for committing war crimes. Yeah, like what he was doing during his presidency was committing war crimes. He literally had a whole policy of like, if you see anyone who has drugs on them, or looks like they've been using drugs, they just get murdered by the police without a trial, without anything, you know. It's like, yeah, that's one of the things of it. I don't want to sound too ignorant or uneducated, but that's one of the elements of like what was going on during his presidency that I was aware of. I'm sure there's a lot of other things, but I'm not as informed enough to speak about it, you know. I don't have the journalistic background, you know. I'm sorry, but yeah. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, it's about someone who doesn't know much about his own culture as being a Filipino American traveling to the Philippines and like learning about his cousin, right? And like his cousin was someone who was like, oh, we just exchanged letters together. Yeah, he was into basketball, you know? He had a poster of Allen Iverson on his freaking wall, you know? It's like, yeah, it's like, that's the thing. And it's like him learning more about that and learning about his own learning about the Philippines in general, and like, yeah, being more in touch. And like, obviously, like, this book was important to me because it was one of the first instances that I saw like Filipino representation in young adult fiction, right? It's like one of the first instances I've seen of that, right? It was before I knew that like Melissa de la Cruz was also, Filipino American. Like, I didn't know, right? Like, yeah, it's like, yeah, it was just so important for me just for that aspect alone, right? Like, I don't know. I guess it's like, is this affirmative action? Like, just this book being on this list? It's like also a great book on top of that, obviously. Like, I agree. It was one of the best books published, young adult books published in 2019, right? But yeah, like that also is like a special element for me, is that it showed me it's like, oh yeah, you can have young adult books, that I've been reading at that time for like what, 2 years, at the most, right? Like, there can be young adult novels with Filipino main characters, right? And it's like, yeah, a spoiler alert about the books I write, the books I've written in the past. They can be categorized as a young adult, I guess, I guess that's what I'm gonna query them as if I do that in the future. But, they do have Filipino main characters, yeah, they do. And it's like, it was really important for me in that regard, yeah, as someone who is interested in writing stories, Yeah, I guess that's basically all I have to say about that. Oh, man. Okay. Number 20? Yeah, number 20. The Disenchantments by Nina LaCour. Okay. I guess this is the last book I'm going to talk about since the recording is over 2 hours long. Jesus, man. I guess that's how long the episode is, man. Okay. Yeah, why do I have The Disenchantments on here? I could have We Are Okay here. Yeah, I think I like this a little better than the book I read of hers recently, but I still enjoyed that book a lot. Everything Leads to You. Yeah, I mentioned it earlier in an earlier episode. But yeah, I think I just love just the team of, the Disenchantments, of just, like a bunch of, like a group of artsy ass teens going on a road trip, and there's a girl band, like a girl band, not like the ones in Bang Dream, but like, was it like the main character, Bev, who's a guy, right, is driving around like this group of tree girls, right, who play in a band, but they suck, right? They're driving from San Francisco all the way to whatever, like through the Pacific Northwest, like they go to like Redding or something, California, they go to Oregon, they go to Seattle, and they like stop at various places and play shows, right? But like, the main character is somewhat in love with his best friend, who's a girl, and I guess that gets dealt with in the middle of the book, I think. Yeah, but like the girl who's his best friend, like, still has her own personal issues to deal with, as with all Nina LaCour books. It's just like characters with issues, and then like it can be very melancholy, but there can be some like, yeah, but there can be lighthearted moments within it, Oh man, yeah. It's, yeah, I don't know, just the whole theme of like going on a road trip, simulating, that can be a metaphor for like life, like the whole thing of like life consisting of a constant series of like meeting people, getting to know them for a brief period of time, and then just leaving, right? Like, that's the thing. It's like you're not gonna like, be in contact with that person forever, but for the time being, right, that person is like leaves a big impact on your life. It's like going to school, right? Like having a teacher that you really connect with, or like it's like, oh, I was friends with this person in middle school, I wonder where they are now. too bad they're not on Instagram. I can't yeah, I don't know. Not that I'm like speaking from any personal experience or anything, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe we are the people we always imagined ourselves to be, something to that effect, right? I'll post the quote in editing if I can edit it in. But yeah, like just like that, like quote in general, like, you know, like symbolizing just, you know, like life in general, you know, like, you know, being disenchanted, I guess. Life being a series of times when like people aren't always who you expect them to be, you know, and like having to deal with the fact that, you know, like, yeah, like, you know, in one character's case, like, you know, their parents, you know, and also, right, yeah, and also this book introduced me to Sleater Kinney in terms of the song Modern Girl, you know, which is very like representative and on the nose about a character's life, right? It's like my whole life looked like the picture of a sunny day, right? Not, I don't think the donut part was symbolic or like that important, but yeah, just that line in particular, that lyric of like my life looked like a picture of a sunny day, right? And then, you know, it's like, oh, it's not, you know, there's actually deeper things going on, you know. It's like, oh, you know, people can lie, you know, like realizing that people close to you can lie and frickin', you know, hurt you like that, you know. Yeah, and like them going on a road trip, as I've said before, of like meeting people, saying goodbye, but them, the people you meet, having an impact on your life, and you know, you can't change the fact that eventually have to say goodbye, but you can remember the impact, and like it can, you know, make you feel better at times, knowing that, you know, it was a positive experience overall, even though like you might never see those people in particular ever again, right? Yeah, that's basically it. Even though, you know, that's the thing. And to wrap it back around, to go around the horn, to loop back around the horn, right? It's like the people on Around the Horn, yeah, Tony Reality has started a YouTube channel, and like one of the first things he did was live stream after the final episode of Around the Horn, of just like, and he brought on like a bunch of the panelists, like Courtney Cronin, Mina Kimes, Bomani Jones, like on like Zoom or something. Yeah, like he brought them all in. He brought a few of them in at a time, and they talked about their experiences with the show. Yeah, it was beautiful, right? Like that's the thing. Even though Around the Horn isn't a show that is gonna last forever, right? Its impact is immeasurable, right? Its impact, it just impacted so many people, right? Like Woody Page, you know, with his chalkboard messages, you know, Bomani would like was bringing in a freaking wrestling belt after he won the FaceTimes, right? Like all of these people just like creating this like show where they talked about sports in an interesting and informative and empathetic way, right? Where it just is so much freaking better than what we have now with these freaking stupid ass debate shows, right? Where it's just only freaking, where the only thing that matters is the take and nothing else, right? You're just slicing out like, but what is the take we can get from this, rather than just like, what is the information we can provide that adds to the discussion in a useful way, you know, rather than seeing it. And it's like, no, we want the take. Is this topic gonna give us a good take? You know, it's like, what's your, you know, it's like, I'm gonna judge like how well you do on television based off of the takes you can, you know, put out. It's like, oh, come on, man, like, come on. I don't know, man. It's fine if it's just on Twitter and you can scroll past it, but if you build a whole TV show around it, you know, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like, in terms of, like, basketball, I hate it, you know. In the NFL, for American football, I'm somewhat more okay with it, and I just treat it as junk food, but overall, like, that's not how we should talk about freaking sports, you know. That's not how, you know, discussions should take place, you know. It shouldn't just be about the take, you know. Like, hopefully the way I talk about things, it's not about like, I have a take on Your Lie in April. I hope it's more just like, here is like my thoughts after rewatching the series, and here's like a bunch of things, here's a bunch of ramblings, you know. I like ramblings rather than just like, what is your take on this, you know? I don't know. I hope maybe, but like the part about being concise, maybe I'm not following it, but yeah, I guess that's basically it for this episode. Yeah, I can get to everything I want to get to for an episode, but it turns out the episode turns out to be over 2 hours long. So yeah, this is gonna be an extremely long episode, but you don't have to watch all of it, you know? You could just like you could just skip around if anyone wants to watch this or not, you know. I just post these for me mostly, you know. If anyone wants to watch it, you know, it's all extra, but you know. Anyways, that's basically it for this episode. Yeah, I went extremely long. Hopefully I'll have another host of topics and I can make an episode sooner. Maybe I might even post another video before the end of the month, or yeah, at the latest I'm gonna hopefully post a video like early next month. So yeah, see you on the next episode.